Check. I keep it classic.com.
Welcome to Politics and Black Family.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's do it.
So, you started off as a Democrat. We got a Black Republican in front of us. Please talk to me about that a little bit, please.
Well, let me just say, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, just not too far down the street from here. So that area is called Simpson Road. Today it's called Joseph Boone. When you're growing up in everyday life, everybody that's Black, they only know about being a Democrat. And so getting into politics, I ran as a Democrat. I'm sitting here today as a Republican because once I got into office and I started reading, reading is fundamental. Once I started reading, I realized that the policies that the Democrats were pushing were actually harming Black people. They weren't empowering Black people. And still did not know that I was a Republican until the school choice vote, and I know I'm jumping very far ahead.
That's fine.
But to the school choice vote, I just said, you know what? I'm not getting along with these folks because of policy issues. They don't know me. So I'm not taking this personal. They don't like me because of my policy stance. And if the policy is we don't want to support children with special needs, if the policy issue is we want to defund the police, if the policy issue is we don't want to give children every opportunity they could possibly have in the school system, you're right. I'm not a part of this crowd.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a part of this crowd because they support all the things that.
Can you share with us exactly what school choice is?
You know, school choice is lots of things. So sometimes people move to communities because the schools are better in certain communities. They're making a choice to make that decision. Sometimes people want to do a charter school instead of the regular public school.
Yeah.
The family is making that choice. And I actually like to use the word parent choice. Sometimes people may want their child to go to a private school.
Yeah.
The family, the parent is making that choice. Okay. What we're talking about today in 2024, when people say school choice, some people say vouchers. Some people say educational freedom. But what that really means is this. Schools are funded by state dollars, local dollars, and federal dollars. At the end of the day, systems look at children as a money sign. So Atlanta Public Schools, the budget in Atlanta Public Schools is 1.5 last year, about $1.5 billion. But some of the schools, only 2% of the kids can read. But they got a $1.5 billion budget.
Right.
That comes out to approximately, let's say, rounding these numbers, $26,000. For $26,000, about $6,000 comes from the state. The other $20,000 comes from federal and local dollars.
Yeah.
With that $6,000, school choice is saying, take that $6,000 parent and go where you think is the best place for your child. Giving one child and one family an opportunity to get out of a community school that they don't want to be in for whatever the reason is. It could be for special needs. Maybe the child has a hearing impairment and the local school cannot provide for that child. Maybe the child is being bullied.
Yeah.
And it's just not the environment for that child. Schools, 98% of the kids are not meeting math proficiency or reading proficiency. How did we get here? Well, it's the same alphabet. It's the same numbers.
Right.
So teaching is the same. And I like to stress that it's not teachers. A lot of people want to push back on that and say it is the teachers. The unions and the bureaucracy say you must teach it this way, and that's the only way you can teach it. But all children don't learn that way.
Right.
And especially if you're in a community that's blighted.
Right.
If you are outside selling water because you don't have electricity on at home, then maybe sitting at a desk for 8 hours is just not going to work for you.
Right. How do our children prepare to compete with AI and all of these advancements? Like,
we're not prepared. So
is it back on the parents now? So should the parents be doing more? Is it like I'm speaking as a parent. Like, how do you prepare?
No, it's not on the parents because the parents aren't the system.
Right.
The parents aren't the teacher. The parents aren't the bureaucracy. Parents are paying taxes. And Brown versus Board of Education says you pay these taxes and you're a citizen here, you're going to get a quality education. Or school boards are one of the least voted on elections during election time.
Right.
So people do not pay attention to local school board elections.
I seen something with like 7,000 votes. The city of Atlanta, I said 7,000 votes. It might have been a little less than that people participated in this last election.
The local school board elections, whenever there's an election, flyers go out to people's homes, right? You need to look on the back side and say who paid for it, right? So it'll say paid for by such and such. The people that just won the elections, everybody who paid for all those flyers that cost like $30,000, it's companies out in California.
Everything that you've been saying, like inspiring, it's like rev me up more. And I think I've been along the path of thinking outside of the box and going against the grain, but just like hearing you so passionately and respectfully say everything you needed to say was like a call for us to do better for our people. And that goes across Democrat, Republican, because what's best for you and your family will ultimately be best for everybody else's families. So I appreciate you. I do. I really do.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What do I like about Republican policies versus Democrat policies? There was a policy that gave about $50 million. There was a pocket of money for workforce development. That money was in the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor was not using the funds appropriately. It was a lot of stuff going on. There was a Democrat that was going to run for the commissioner for Department of Labor. The Republicans wanted to put the $50 million into the Atlanta Technical College system, or just the technical college system, to really get the money into the community. The Democrats went on a media frenzy and said the Republicans don't want a black man to have this $50 million. They don't want the black man to have control of this $50 million. The white man is trying to take away responsibilities from the black man. So I was the only Democrat at the time. I was like, well, this is crazy. It has nothing to do with you and who is over this pocket of money. The question is who has access to the money, right? So it's policies like that. It's just Republicans are trying to uplift people. And I'll tell you this. I'm sorry. I'll tell you this. Think about it like this. Nobody may care about anybody. Let's say Republican B does not care about any black person. Okay, let's just say that is a thing. Now, Republican B knows that if Georgia has a strong economy, his pocket is better. So Republican B, if black person is successful, in turn, it helps Republican B be successful. Does that make sense? So there's a winning side to both, right? Black person can be successful. Republican B can also be successful, because if Georgia has a strong economy and people are working, and the state has money to expend on businesses and so forth, then all boats rise on the same
What is
tide.
the Republican view on reparations then? Because it seems as if we stopped spending so much funding on the crackers and different things that are like these little micro things that never help our community.
Mm-hmm.
What is the view over on that side?
You know, I would say there's not a view because there aren't black people over there.
Okay.
So there's nobody advocating for that cause.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there aren't any black people over here.
Okay.
I will say that last year I did a bill to do a Reparations Study Committee. And this year, the Fulton County Commissioners are actually doing a Reparations Study Committee. I don't know what's going to happen with that, because we've got to make sure that public officials are using our money wisely.
So anybody have any more questions? She has a question. What's that question?
I have a few.
Go ahead.
I am a Democrat. I'm gonna be transparent about that. And there's a lot of rhetoric around race in the Republican Party that is not welcoming in speech or tone for Black people. So how do we reconcile what you're saying with what we see in the pervasive culture that permeates the Republican Party with the leadership that it's trending towards? Because they're inconsistent from what you're suggesting today.
Look, I can't refute that. But what I can tell you is one person's rhetoric is not the millions of other people. Unfortunately, that's what the devil will do. The devil will make you concentrate on one thing so you don't get what you need. That's the best way that I can answer that question, because my colleagues that I'm working with, that's not how they're talking. They don't like that language. They're upset that that language is even associated with them. So just remember that, you know, one person is not everybody.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I'm going to be transparent, and the reason I struggle with that is because that one person is being listened to. That person is leading. That person is very likely going to be the Republican presidential nominee, and that person has the power to affect a horde of people. And that Republican B person that you're talking about, those people, in my opinion, do not want to see Black people, Black families succeed. So I absolutely understand what you're saying about a rising tide lifts all boats. However, they don't want our boat docked. They don't want our boat on the water. They don't want us to build a boat. So I'm struggling with the inconsistency. So, but thank you for.
And I got something else for
listening to
you.
my questions.
I like it. So one thing that I like to keep going back to is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter that he wrote in the Birmingham jail. Have you ever read that letter? He lays out who the enemy is. And I just talked about earlier how politics changed during the Civil Rights Movement. And so the KKK was the Democrat Party. Now, imagine this for a second, okay? You're in control, you're in power, you are in control of the Democrat Party. Now, you might be mad that this civil rights thing happened, but if you switch to the Republican Party, you have no power because you just switched over. So are you going to leave your power?
Well, I guess I just don't understand I just want to set one context, which is the Southern Democrats that were the KKK are now Republicans. So I understand, like, that dynamic changed starting in, I want to say 19,
But let me-
after FDR and the New Deal. And I'm a historian buff.
But let me push back on that a little bit.
So
Because there were some Democrats that left the party,
yes, and some that stayed.
and the ones that stayed were in control. So the policies that are coming down right now, that is still from the people that stayed. You know, I like when I was a Democrat, my colleagues that thought very similar to me, I would say, where do you think this came from? So we must remember as Black people, there's not a Black person at the head of any one of these parties.
Agreed.
You know, I hear people always talk about a third party, and some people, I'm gonna go independent, I'm gonna do this. Is that possible? Is that real? Is that something that can happen, or is it?
It is so much money within the two-party system. It would have to be Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and everybody else to come and say we're going to do an independent party. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But if it did, then maybe it could be a solid third party. But since it isn't, a black person must realize that you've got to be educated and read, know your rights, attend meetings, get involved, get engaged, run for office, not just on the Democrat side, but also as a Republican, because you're not in charge.
I want to just go back to something. Thank you for sharing that. But I want to go back to something you said about being a Democrat. Why are you a Democrat?
I grew up in Louisiana, and in a very small town, Berryville, Louisiana, and I grew up in the library, and I grew up reading, smart in the class, moved to California, went to Berkeley. So just understanding the political dynamics and where things changed circa 1960 era, I have remained a Democrat because I understand kind of how things shifted in that era. And I understand the Democrat history, quote unquote, of the KKK. I understand that. I continue to be a Democrat because I don't see where the policy that Republicans uphold meet the needs of families that are at or below poverty levels for black communities. And I loved your analogy, quite frankly, about the crackers. But I think crackers are something that both parties give. They give, Democrats give black communities crackers and say, hey, if you come with us, we'll do all these things for you. Promises made, some promises fulfilled, others not. But I think that happens on both sides of the aisle. And I've just continued to believe that for me and for my personal beliefs around, I make enough money to take care of myself. I'm not worried about the federal government taking care of me. However, I know that there are a lot of black families that are not in my position, and I care as much about those people as I care about myself and wanting to be able to see them succeed as well. Our educational system, our criminal justice system, across the board, almost every systematic institution in America needs reform. And frankly, I don't believe that either party has the tools, the resources, the vision to capture that. I personally believe that the Democrat is closest. So I'm here because I'm open to the dialogue and I'm open to dialogue.
Thank you for
I
sharing.
would love to continue the conversation.
It's a very
with
interesting
you.
dialogue. Like I said, I'm open to different points of view. So thank you.
Yes. So we are going to wrap. I see this face he got over here. He wants another question. Go ahead, Shaheem. I can't. Go ahead, Brother Shah.
You know. I love it. No, it's just politics is a funny thing, man. It's so I have a question. It's like a two-part question, right? Are you familiar with the Hegelian dialectic?
No.
Okay, so
Don't come with this African Bumbada talking all
that's
that.
not African Mubada, okay? This is politic talk.
All right, go ahead.
Right from Germany. This is where all this stuff come from.
Okay.
But just hearing her say that, it's funny, even though I'm a Republican, right? It's funny when you, on the presidential level, where you have two parties who neither identifies with me. They're both rich. So how do you get these people who are so affluent to speak for people who don't even speak their language? Like how does that connect? Like when did that, you know what I'm saying? Like how can you stand up here and whether it's a Republican or Democrat and you can't really truly relate to me? You guys live in great neighborhoods. So your public schools, like in Jersey, so it's not just like about the school district in the area. It's about, it's about the zip code, because those public schools over there, you don't need to go to private school. They have the curriculum and stuff like that. So it's possible. You can go 2 blocks over to the next school district and it's like, so my question is there a real difference? How do I know that both parties aren't there just to confuse and divide and conquer?
Great question. I would say this. All politics is local. The further up you go, up the chain, it is less representative of the people. That's, the local school board is a community area. So that's why it is so important. And it's the backbone of America, right? Knowledge and freedom. So you need to vote for the person and not the party, right? So if you live in my district and you like what I'm telling you, and I'm a Republican, you should not vote for me because I'm a Republican, right? If you think, you know, she's going to go in there and she's going to do whatever she can to support me, or she's going to do whatever she can to support the people that I care about, you should really vote for that person based on them and not their party affiliation.
And that's why you're here with us on Politics and Black Family, because we got your back. We got your back, and we want to hear all voices. We want to hear. This is a non-partisan platform. Thank you for sharing. Shaheen, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming, tuning in with us. And we'll catch y'all out there next time. Politics and Black Families. Peace.
God will let them hear it, even if they never heard it before.
Exactly. The thing is, people have to be right.
It's like a clip on, right?
Hey man, I love to see this man, husband and wife. Yeah, mic your husband up. Yeah, put that on him. Yeah.
I mean, wherever you go,
Hey man, y'all look
yeah.
amazing.
Mic check, mic check, mic check.
Outstanding.
I'm gonna get the mic check again inside.
And Brad,
Oh, yeah.
you got that trip on. No cappuccino.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, I like it.
sir.
You know, he running for office. We gonna get him in there right there.
Yeah,
He running for-
no cappuccino. If anyone can
Talk
staff
about
it,
politics
can
and
respect.
Black family.
Yeah.
It's very important that we get the message out to our community about politics in the Black community.
Indeed. But thank you for sharing that message. Y'all will see me and Brother Staff sit down and have a conversation. We're gonna bring her back and we're gonna really get into it. Thanks for coming out, seeing the support.
No man, thank you, bro. Real, bro. Mean that, bro. Real, bro. And see, that's what it's all about. First of all, me and him, we real dark skinned, like we but it's important for us to demonstrate to our youth that Black men can come together and support each other and encourage each other about succeeding in life and whatever they doing. So we doing the film, I'm doing the politics.
Let's
For real, straight up.
catch y'all out
Already.
there. Politics and Black family. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Young Black American, young Black and gifted. Young Black American, young Black and gifted. Young Black American, young Black and gifted. Young Black and gifted. Young Black and gifted. Young Black American.